Hello, everyone. Okay, we're back to learning Russian with Learn Russian. Today, though, we have a test. We don't have a lesson per se. We have a test. But this test is, I think, a bit more demanding than the previous ones. Some of the previous tests were quite a breeze, relatively straightforward if you've done your studying. But in the last 5 lessons here, we've learned a lot about different cases. We've learned about the genitive plural. We then learned about the instrumental case, and then the dative case. And that's a bit challenging to take in all at once. We've already seen most of the cases for Russian. The only one that I think we're really missing is the prepositional case, which I believe is lesson 21, the very next lesson. But we've already seen most of the cases for Russian. Hopefully we have an idea of how they work a little bit. But because remembering how the different cases change things in Russian can be a bit difficult, I went ahead and made this little table. So this is not everything you need to know, not by a long shot, but this is the basic transformations which we'll see in this test. So this is just for this test mostly that I made this, but you can see kind of how it works. So on the left I listed some different cases. Obviously here I have the instrumental, dative, and accusative cases, and then at the top I have different endings of nouns. And then the items from the table show you how the noun endings change based on the case. So for example, a noun which ends in a becomes oi in the instrumental case. Similarly, if a noun ends with a consonant normally in the regular nominative case, then it becomes or you add to the end in the instrumental case. We'll see a bit more about how this works later. I do recommend that you make tables like this for yourself and try to memorize them. I know that memorizing is a bit difficult, but you'll have a much harder time if you don't have a table. If you try to remember each of these piecemeal, it's probably going to be a lot harder than if you just have a table. People who are learning German, like me when I learned German. So in German, there's basically a 4x4 table. German has 4 cases, so on the left you'll list the 4 cases in German, and then across the top you'll list the 4 genders in German. Well, German has 3 genders, but then there's also plural. So there's masculine, feminine, neutral, and then there's plural. And so you end up with a 4x4 table, which means obviously 16 things. And that's basically most of what you need to know for cases and how the cases change endings of things in German. Russian is similar, but in Russian it can be a bit more difficult because there are 6 cases instead of 4, and also because it's not necessarily just tied to the gender, it's tied more to the ending of the verb. Most masculine words in Russian end with a consonant, most neutral words end with an O, and a typical feminine word ends with an A, but there are different forms of feminine words which don't end in A, but we won't have to worry about that for this test. But here's just, like I said, this is just a simple table. This is a very simple table. It only has 6 things in it, which is what we need for this test. But as you go on learning Russian, you may want to make similar tables like this for yourself. I think you would find them useful. Anyway, let's go ahead and begin the test. So here we have the test for lessons 16 through 20. And here we go. Вчера наш босс уволил 14, so that's 14. And then is it человек, is it людях, is it люди, or is it человека? So, quick review of how numbers go and how numbers change the case in Russian. First of all, the text at the top says, yesterday our boss fired 14. And then obviously the missing word is people. So yesterday our boss fired 14 people. Very unfortunate. That was a bad day for the company. But as far as numbers go, numbers ending in 2, 3, or 4, where the last digit is 2, 3, or 4, use the genitive singular form, except for the teens. So if this were any other number ending in 4, we would use the genitive singular form of человек. But because this is basically all numbers from 5 to 20, which includes obviously all the teens, all the netset numbers, so 11 through 19, 11 through 19, all of those numbers use the genitive plural. So if this were, let's say, 24, it would be the genitive singular, and then it would be человека at the bottom. But genitive plural of человек is just человек. So again, because this is kind of a special case. Most numbers ending in 4 will use the genitive singular. An exception is, again, 14. All numbers from 5 through 20 use the genitive plural. And genitive plural of человек is just человек. Bit tricky, I know. I know these numbers are very difficult. Okay, but here now we go, this is now genitive singular. Again, numbers ending in 2, 3, or 4 use the genitive singular, except for the teens. But this is not a teen, this is not 12 teens, so to speak, you know, 12, which would be 12. It's obviously 362, so it's not a teen number, so this just uses the regular genitive singular. And genitive singular of сотрудник, employee, has an A on the end. It's сотрудника. So there we go. The answer is сотрудника. So, yeah. Okay. Я купил несколько. I bought a few books. And again, actually, no, not again. This is different because now we don't have a number. Now we have the word несколько. So here's a slightly different rule. Несколько means like a few. And that takes the genitive plural. So indefinite quantities like I bought several or I bought a few, something like that. If there's not a specific number, then these non-specific sort of quantities like a little bit or some take that takes the genitive plural. So kniga is the regular word. A kniga is a book, but the genitive plural of kniga is just knig. So when you're using non-specific words, here, if you look down here, много, many, or several, once again, same thing, indefinite numbers, indefinite quantities like много or, you know, several, that takes the genitive plural. And so the genitive plural of problema, problem, is just problem. So there we go. So the answer is problem here because we're saying много проблем. So that's that. Moving on. Это было давно, когда нефть столье something заборел. Okay, so here we have dollars, and once again we have the genitive plural. So this 150, a number like that, takes the genitive plural. And genitive plural of dollar is dolarov. There we go. And 100, I think we covered all the forms of ruble in the lesson where we first were introduced to these kinds of numbers. This is once again genitive plural. Genitive plural of ruble is rublier, and then same for friends. For friends, it's druzier. So it's rublier and druzier. John уже был в Кремле 5. So John was already in the Kremlin 5 times. Once again, we have the genitive plural. Again, as I said, all numbers from 5 through 20 use the genitive plural. Well, obviously 5 is in the range of 5 through 20, so we have the genitive plural. And genitive plural of raz, time, like in the sense of he was there 5 times. Genitive plural of raz is also just раз. Okay. Русские каждое утро едят блинцы. So Russians every morning eat blin, pancakes, with, and here we talked about ikra, which is caviar. So the nominative form is ikra. And now here's where we can use our handy table. This is where a table like this comes in very useful. So the nominative form of the word is ikra. It has an A on the end. So we look in the column with the A, and we need also the, so we use the leftmost column there. We need also the case. So it's s. And if you use s to mean something like I did this with that, then the noun after the s becomes instrumental. So what happens with a word ending in a when you use instrumental? The a becomes oi. So it's ikroi. There you go. See See how that works? See how easy it is when you have a table? That's why I say you should really, I know that some people hate memorizing tables like this, but really, in my opinion, this table is not too bad. Obviously, it would be a little bit bigger, actually be something like twice as big or maybe even 4 times as big if you try to document all the possible combinations of endings and cases in Russian, but it's not that bad. It's not that terribly overwhelming. It seems like a lot when you first come into it, but there's not necessarily that much to it. And here for this test, we'll only need the 6 things, I think, that we see in this table here. So once again, a noun that normally ends in a. In the instrumental case, you turn the a into oi. And so ikra becomes ikroi. Olga любит торт, so Olga loves or likes cake with cream. So the nominative form of this word is krem with an M on the end. So as you can see, when something ends in a consonant like that, and once again, this is the instrumental case because it's krem with cream, so it's instrumental consonant, you add an OM to the end. So krem becomes kremom. See, it's not that difficult when you have the table. All right. Я очень хочу найти чемодан с... Okay. Деньги, money is one of those funny words that this is plural instrumental. Again, money is always plural. There's no singular form of money. So because it's plural instrumental. Деньги is a special weird word. I'm not going to dwell on this one too long. The answer is деньгами. I'm not going to start explaining why. Деньги it's one of those weird words. Just accept it for what it is. I'm not going to start explaining too much about how it works here. Деньги is a special case. So moving on. Завтра вечером мама so Papa пойдет в театр. Papa is a man, presumably. Dad is probably a guy. But this is kind of not really a special case necessarily, but it's a case where a masculine word doesn't use a masculine convention because it ends in an A. Papa always ends in A, and so we do use the same rule that we use for usually feminine words that end in A. So we use the left column for words that end in A, and again, it's s, so once again, it's instrumental. What happens to an instrumental word that ends in A? It becomes oi. So this becomes papoy. Be papoy. Okay. Бутерброд – это хлеб. So бутерброд, which is, I guess it's a Russian loan word because it's literally like a Russianization of the phrase butter bread. Бутерброд, it's bread with butter. I mean, yeah, it's literally butter bread with butter. So это хлеб, it's bread, с. And once again, we have instrumental because it's s. Now, the nominative form of butter is maslo. So it's, if you look here, what happens to a word that ends in o? In the instrumental case, you also put on the end, so it becomes not maslo, but maslom. All right. Я интересуюсь, this is still the instrumental case. If you say you're interested in something like this, that also takes the instrumental case. And you can see that the words below are various forms of politics. The regular nominative form of politics is politika. So it's a word that ends in A, politika. And a word that ends in A in the instrumental case becomes oi. So we are looking at politikoi as being the correct answer to this item. Number 14, Martin занимается. This is once again instrumental case and русский язык. Язык obviously ends in a consonant. Seems like a pretty masculine noun in the sense that it ends in a consonant. So we have instrumental case, right? Yeah. And what happens to a noun that ends in a consonant? When you have the instrumental case, you add to the end. So it should be языком. There's only one option for языком, so we'll take that. Notice also, we haven't actually learned this yet, but notice what happens to русский. Русский also becomes русским. You also need to change the adjectives to agree with the case and the and the gender of the noun. We have not covered this yet. We will cover this, I'm sure, in a future lesson. But just for now, to sort of take this as a sneak preview, the adjectives do also change along with the nouns. So it's ruskim yazykom. All right, moving on. Ani увлекаются. This is once again instrumental. Mathematics is matematika in the regular nominative form. So what happens to a noun with an A on the end when you're in the instrumental case? Instrumental case, word ends in A, it becomes oi. So it should be matematikoi. Okay. Она встречается something друзьями. Aha. Друзьями, this word is the instrumental plural of друг, friend. So did she go with friends or did she go to friends? Well, if it were ka, so at the bottom ka, if she went to friends, that would be wrong because ka is dative. If you go to something or someone with ka, then the word takes the dative form. But this word, друзьями, this is not the dative form. This is an instrumental form. This is, again, the instrumental plural of друг. So we know it has to be instrumental, and what word uses the instrumental in this list? It's с. We know that с uses instrumental. So, Peter хочет стать... This is again instrumental case. Yeah, businessman is the regular form, and that ends in a consonant. So what happens to a word that ends in a consonant when you have the instrumental case? It becomes, or it adds to the end. So we need to add and it becomes businessmenom. Ольга раньше была something, а сейчас она... Okay. So Olga used to be a student, but now she is a manager. So the first form is instrumental case, used to be a student, and it's studentka because she's a woman, so she wasn't just a student, but studentka. And what happens to a word that ends in A when it's the instrumental case? Again, a word that ends in A becomes oi in the instrumental case. So it's studentkoi. It could be either the second one or the fourth one. Now, сейчас она, I believe this should be the nominative case because this is just stating what she is. There's not any special verb here. It's just Olga is a manager. So we're not looking at instrumental or dative or any other weird case like that. This is the normal, the normal nominative case here. And the basic word is just manager, so we take manager. So first word, studentka becomes studentkoi because it's instrumental case, and then manager just stays manager. Manager is a gender-neutral job title here. You've noticed many jobs have male and female titles, but manager is a gender-neutral job title, and so it just remains manager. Okay, Mark is 21 years old. So now here we have the dative case. This is how you express how many years someone has. It's kind of like to Mark is 21 years, kind of a weird way of phrasing, but yeah, that's how it's done. So it's dative. So Mark here is dative, and if we look again at our table, what happens to Mark is obviously masculine. He's a guy, and his name ends in a consonant. So what happens with a word that ends in a consonant in the dative case? You add u to the end. So Mark becomes Marku. Marku 21 год. And here we have Natasha. Natasha is a woman. Her name ends in a. What happens to words that end in a in the dative case? The a becomes ye. So Natasha becomes Natasha. Natasha 38 лет. To Natasha is 38 years. And here we have Господин Petrov, Mr. Petrov. So both of these words are, yeah, it's masculine. So what happens to words that end in consonant, masculine words ending in consonant? In the dative case, again, you put an U on the end. So Господин Petrov becomes Господину Петрову. Господину Петрову 56 лет. Завтра мы идем в гости. This is partly a bit of partly you have to know a bit of the phrasing here. You go as a guest with grandma. I guess you could say you do certain things with grandma, but in this phrasing, when you say you go в гости, you go to grandma, so you go к бабушке. That's not really. It's not really, since there's only one preposition, there's only one option for each preposition. This isn't really so much about knowing how you format babushka. I mean, if you look in the table, you can see babushka becomes babushkie in the dative case, so that's correct. But there's only one option for ka, so it's not really knowing about how to format babushka. It's more about knowing, is it ot or sa or ka or u babushka. So ot is like from babushki. S is with babushkoi, and U is like at babushki. So yeah, we went, yeah, in Russian you say we went k babushke, we went to babushka to be her guests at her house. Вчера они ходили, so they went yesterday. Again, it's to the psychologist. It's kind of, you could theoretically say they went with the psychologist, but that's not really, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Normally in this case, you would say to the psychologist. They went to the psychologist, so к психологу. And again, I mean, there's only one option for k, so you don't really need to worry about how to format psycholog. But psycholog is, it does end in a consonant, and if you look here, you see that nouns that end in a consonant, in the dative case, add an u to the end. So psycholog becomes psychologu. But again, you don't really need to worry about that, because if you know it's ka, then there's only one option here for ka. Сейчас Vladimir едет. So today Vladimir went to mom. Again, like he went to mom's place. So again, that's к маме. And again, mama becomes mamye in the dative case. But for this particular test question, if you know that it's ka, then you don't really need to worry about how to format mama, because there's only one option for ka. Okay, Peter и Mark идут. Peter and Mark, what did they do? They went to Moscow. So Moskva is the nominative form of Moscow. Moskva, so something dative with an A on the end becomes ye. So it should be Moskvie. Wait, no, sorry. They didn't go k No, with a K it would be, if they went like towards Moscow with a K, it would be Moskvie. But this is v. So here's, yeah, that's why I put the accusative there. I didn't want to get, almost got mixed up there. Down there at the bottom, you can see there is accusative, which I only put for because I think this is the only case where you use accusative in this test. Accusative, when you have a noun that ends in it becomes u. So if they went to k Moskva, then it would be k Moskvie. But if they went v Moskva, then it's v Moskvu. So yeah, it could be the first one or it could be the last one. So it's v Moskvu, and then, yeah, okay, для друзей. Well, they didn't go for friends. That would be a weird phrasing even in English. They went into Moscow for friends. I guess you could say that, but no, they went to friends. So в Москву к друзьям. They went in Moscow to friends, to see friends. У Вики болит голова. Она идет, so Vicky is the person's name. Vicky is sick. Okay, so Vicky is ill, and she goes, then the question is, does she go to a jurist, to a lawyer? Does she go to a dentist, Does she go to a vrach, to a doctor? Or does she go to a veterinar, to a veterinarian? Well, It doesn't say whether Vicky is a human or a non-human species, but I'm going to assume, since let's just assume that she's a human, and that would mean obviously she's going to a doctor, so she goes k vrachu. And again, I mean, there's only one option for vrach here, but you can just, if you're curious, you can obviously check here. Vrach ends in a consonant, so she goes k vrachu, that's dative, so k vrach becomes k vrachu because you add an u on the end with a consonant ending noun in the dative case. Okay, в субботу дети поедут в деревню. So on Saturday, kids go, where do they go? I don't think they go to the director, which would be the first one. They don't go into the university. Yeah, I mean, these are all kind of adult things. Adults go to a director or into the university or into a club. Children don't do any of that, so children just kind of go to grandma's. Maybe there are children in Russia who go to clubs or universities, who knows, but at least within this family-friendly form of the lesson, the children go to babushka, they go to grandma. And again, I mean, I think it's pretty clear by now that babushka becomes babushkie because it's dative, so there we go. Никто не любит ходить, no one likes to go to the polyclinic. Nobody likes to go to the medical clinic, to the doctor. So, the first one is with the, so again, right, it's polyclinica. So the nominative form of this word is polyclinica with an A on the end. And when you have an A on the end, it becomes polycliniku in the accusative case. We're using the, so the is accusative, so it's the polycliniku. So it could be either the second one or the third one. So it's one of the two in the middle. Well, they don't go with the doctor, they go k vrachu, they go to the doctor. So there you go. K vrachu again, vrach, consonant, dative, vrachu. Bless you. Эти цветы Federico дарит. Okay, so these flowers Federico gave to Mama. This is dative case. You give flowers to Mama. Mama becomes in dative. It becomes mamie. Words with an A on the end become ye in the dative case. So darit mamie. Вчера я. Okay, this is about past tense of verbs. We have, I think, we have just 3 questions on this test about this. I should probably explain how this works because I don't think we covered this very thoroughly, but this is basically how you make past tenses based on whether it's ya or an or ana or mi. Yeah, I'm not gonna dwell on this for too long. I'll just say it's zvanil because it's ya zvanil. It would be different depending on whether it's ya or an or ana, but you can look up the rules for this. I know that I should probably cover the rules for this, but I don't want to drag on for too long. And this really the more important thing to take away from this test and these lessons is obviously the cases and how the cases work. So similarly here, what's the past tense of kto? In this case, it's actually they're all. This is really, because they're different verbs, it's really more, not so much more about formatting the verb properly, it's more about what verb to use. So who, yeah, you wouldn't say who looked at this beautiful fur coat. You would say, yeah, who kupil, who bought this beautiful fur coat. So it's kind of more about what verb to use than how to format the verbs. But anyway, Andrei сегодня утром, Andrei today morning, so today in the morning, something сестра билет в Madrid. He, yeah, the answer here is zakazal. Yeah, okay. Again, I'll just skip over these because that's past tense of verbs, which is important, but I think not as important as the other stuff. I don't want to get too distracted with that too much. Focus on the other stuff, I think, for now, and then past tense is a relatively kind of side thing which you should know, of course, but let's focus on the main stuff. And here we have, yeah, here we have dative with personal pronouns. So in the circus, it's always nice for me, or always exciting, or a happy time for me. So it's ya, it's for me. But what does ya become? Like, I mean, the answer is not ya, but it's about me in the sense that it's first person singular. So what's the dative personal pronoun for first person singular? This you should know. This was a relatively small list of, I think, 7 items, but this is kind of important, so you should know about these. It's мне. Мне всегда весело. And then она болеет и something очень плохо. So once again, she is ill and she's doing very poorly. So in English, you would say she is doing badly, but in Russian, you use the dative. So you say ей. Her, to her, is very bad. So she's sick and she's doing very badly. Она болеет и ей очень плохо. Same thing again. I think the rest of these, yeah, all the rest of these, we're almost done, but the rest of these are just about these dative personal pronouns. So you just need to know the correct personal pronouns for these. So here, мы, first person plural. In the dative personal pronoun, мы becomes нам. So нам хорошо. Когда нам хорошо, мы, yeah, so when we are doing well, when it's well with us. На улице зима, но ему. Why is it ему? Not sure, but that's the answer. Okay, you can look it up. It's ему. Извините, and then okay, so for вы, the dative personal pronoun becomes вам, and then врач сказал, что yeah, it's ему. So wait, what's hold on, let me just quickly check. Ему is for yeah, it's for un. So I wonder who is the un in this case. Then here as well, doctor said that he's not allowed to smoke. Is the doctor talking? Probably the doctor is talking about someone else, because the only dative personal pronoun here is ему. All the others are different forms, so it must be ему. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Is the doctor saying that the doctor himself is not allowed to smoke? Is he talking about himself or talking about a patient? I'm not sure, but anyway, there you go. So that's the answers, and I'll go and just scroll through them again very quickly, just so that anybody wanting to take notes can look at these and research these. I admit some of these are not quite clear to me. I mean, the grammar rules, I think we've covered enough, but for some of these, I'm not quite sure I understand the meaning of the sentence and why it is like that. Like, for example, the last one. Okay, I know that ему is the dative personal pronoun of un, he, but so it's like him, but what exactly does this sentence mean? Not sure. But anyway, if you want to find out, you probably can, but don't worry about it too much. If you don't know, like me, don't worry about it. I think this is not that important to understand this sentence literally. It's just important to understand that this is the dative personal pronoun for un. So there we go. So, and once again, here's just a quick glance at that table. Tables like this, again, very useful for when you are learning languages like this, which make extensive use of case systems together with gender systems. So again, this is a relatively simple table. It would be substantially larger if you wanted to document every single ending in Russian and every single case. But for a basic start, this is not a bad table. And you can make your own tables as you wish and make them a little bit more complicated if you feel ambitious and you feel up to it. But anyway, this has been test number 4 for learning Russian, for Learn Russian. With Learn Russian. Next time we will carry on with lesson 21, and if we look at the lessons quickly, Lesson 21 is, yes, prepositional case, as I said. So we're going to cover the last case that we have not yet looked at. And then after that, then we're going to see different forms applying to all cases. So we're going to learn the last case, and then in the following lessons, we'll learn about how to apply the cases that we've learned using different pronouns and, yeah, nouns and adjectives. I mentioned the adjectives also change, so in 22 we're going to see how the adjectives change as well. So we've still got a lot of material ahead. Obviously, we've only done 20 lessons out of 100, so we're only 1/5 of the way, we're only 20% of the way through the whole course, so we still have a lot more material to cover. So I hope that we'll see each other then, folks. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep learning Russian with Learn Russian. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.